when it comes to communications, you have to realize that every article, every post you make, every event you host is helping make that change that you're looking to seek.
Welcome to Unexpected Journey, the show where each week top professionals share work wisdom and life lessons about their careers and what they have learned about human experience in the workplace. I'm your host, Ann Bibb. Today we're joined by Catherine Montgomery, is the founder and CEO of Better Together, a communications agency that galvanizes positive change for purpose-driven organizations through creative strategies, messaging, and branding. Catherine's vision for Better Together is to build a more just, environmentally sustainable world centered around human and labor rights, access to education, and healthcare for all through collaborative and creative communication campaigns. After spending nearly 15 years working in public relations, Catherine knows what truly drives results and leaves a lasting impact. Come join us on her unexpected journey. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments below. Now let's get started. Welcome back to Unexpected Journey, and welcome, Catherine.
Hi, thanks for having me, Anne. It's great to be here.
I'm just so thankful that you agreed to be on the show. You have such a great story and so many great things that you're doing. And as the CEO of Better Together, I am just very excited to hear and to share with our audience about the things that are going on, not just in your life, but with your organization. So let's get into it. First off,
Put me in, coach.
let's hear about I am you know what? I just adore you. um let's talk about your coaching experience,
Okay,
Catherine.
let's do that.
As a CEO, you are the coach to a lot of individuals, a lot of people. How did you get here? What's going on? Is this where you saw yourself kind of going?
Goodness, no. Okay, so a year ago, what was that? June, July. I would not have thought that I would be here. I was having a really, really tough year at the last job I was at, and was thinking I would just go to the traditional route of finding a different job and the 9 to 5 kind of thing. But I just happened to be on a Slack channel, Ladies Get Paid, and there was a recruiter who had been hired by a venture capital firm looking for founders in the US, and they only invest in PR agencies. And I was like, well, this could be sketchy or it could be really cool. Who knows? And I'm up for sketchy, so I reached out to the recruiter.
That's our phrase, right? I'm up for sketchy.
Yes. I mean, that's like my life goal is like making good out of sketchy. So I reached out to the recruiter. We really hit it off. And then I met with the investors and hit it off with them too. I did not have a business plan in place, but I will say that back in 2019, I started this document just called All the Things. And it had potential business names and potential mission statements and clients and things like that. I didn't know what I would do with it, but I knew I wanted to focus on social impact, and so I had that in mind when I was talking to the recruiter, when I was talking to the investors. It's like my true passion came out, although that was not what I was expecting in life. And so it really taught me to just kind of be open to the unexpected, and even if unexpected journey, and even if your year or a lot of years are going really horrible, it's like just be ready for that change because it can happen. It's just believing and being open to those moments of opportunity.
We laugh at the you're up for sketchy. And I think we both are. We kind of both lead this life of taking things where we go and trying to help other people do better and help others that are less fortunate. And, just, okay, we don't know where we're going to end up, but let's see what happens. But in reality, it's kind of true because as the founder of Better Together, right? you face some unique challenges in building kind of this venture based, social impact focused communications agency. What are some of those unique challenges?
Yeah, I would say there's not a day that's predictable. You never know what is going to happen, especially when you're focusing on social impact. There's so many things happening in the world day by day, and you don't know how it's going to impact nonprofits, corporations, what their focus is going to be. And even with clients I have now, like their complete mission or vision or angle can change in one day, one movement. SCOTUS is going through so many decisions right now that could change, a lot of the clients we have that we're working with. And so we're preparing them for responses and statements based on how decisions are made and how it impacts their audiences. So it really is kind of taking a step back, thinking about things more than what's just in our general lane of what our clients might want to be focusing on, but how it impacts everyone and how we can help them make sure that that's a positive impact. And then from a business perspective, is making sure that we're hiring and partnering with people who are open to that change and open to tackling issues as they come, because nothing is predictable, like I mentioned. And so you have to be willing to, step up your fight for good. And that's, what we're here for with Better Together, is to make that positive impact, even if it means, pushing back on decisions or things that happen day to day. And that makes it a lot harder.
It does make it a lot harder. And I know that one of the things as a leader and as somebody that has their own company, one of the things that specifically I have looked at is when I'm using my voice, do I want to filter it? Right. And I had a very dear friend of mine call me out a long time ago and say, why aren't you standing up for your beliefs? You have a loud voice. You have a huge following on social media. And I know what you believe. I know you as an individual, yet you aren't standing up for on your social media that has 50,000 followers on Twitter, great, or on Instagram, and 16 on Twitter. That's not a lot of people. I mean, I'm not Katy Perry or Barack Obama or Michelle, but it's also not a little bit. But why aren't you standing up for what you believe on these platforms? And I had to reflect that at the time I was working in corporate and there were these social media requirements that we had to follow. And there was a fear factor at the time of I would lose my job. I was not following the guidelines of the man, right? But when I was working under my own organization, I then had to say, well, I was afraid I was going to lose my clients. And then I had to think, do I want
Do I
those
have the right
clients?
clients, right? Yeah.
If I have clients that are not going to work with me because I am standing up for what I believe, do I want those clients? So, all of this to say, and yet same friend always calls me verbose. So,
You gotta listen to
so
her.
yeah. So all of that to say, if you're working with somebody that is going through those emotions, that's going through those thoughts and feelings, and knows internally that they're basically externally not standing up for what they're believing in because there's a fear or something along those lines, what do you say to them? How do you work with them, whether they're the decision maker of an organization or what? Because that is a between a rock and a hard
Yeah,
place.
yeah. And I feel like we're in that situation right now with affirmative action. And like, how do you phrase your response to whatever SCOTUS decides in the right way, where it doesn't neglect some people who follow the organization and some people who, are going to be for the decision or against the decision, whatever that is. So it's really guiding clients and giving them the reassurance that if they have people involved in their organization who are really going to take a negative, sway from whatever statement the organization releases, then they don't need to have them in their um, by their side. They don't need their support because they're trying to make a difference in the world, and you can't have people holding you back. You can't have people limiting you on sticking up for what you believe, or you won't make an impact at all. And so that's kind of how we guide clients. A lot of our clients are not in that situation because they will be the first to come out and say, we agree or disagree with whatever is going on in the world. And so I really am proud about that. And that's what the mission of Better Together is in general. I will say that from my experiences, I worked at a progressive agency that focused on union work and different things like that. And social media is not a part of the company's positioning at all because they didn't want to take a stand on any issue. And so when I started Better Together, I was like, I'm doing the exact opposite. Like, we're going to talk about every issue there is. We're going to talk about how it's impacted by communications and how we can help organizations. And it's not to only try to, get clients, obviously, but it's just to have a voice. And how many times do we want to say something and we can't because we're being held down by, you say, the man? And I was listening to ABC podcast this morning, and they were talking about how some employees can't have a pride flag at their desk just because, like they can't express themselves that way. And I was like, what is 2023? What do you mean you can't have a pride flag? And I think that's just so ridiculous. Like, you can't truly be yourself because a company wants to please everyone. And when you try to please everyone, as we know, you please no one. And people leave the company, you lose your clients, you have no mission, you have no purpose. And you just have to decide, am I going to stand up for what I believe in, or I'm going to let other people stand up for me and just do whatever they ask me to do? And I can't do both. I have to stand up for what I believe in, what our employees believe in, what our clients believe in, what my investors believe in, and make sure that every decision I make is aligned with that, and that we stick to our mission. Again, mission always.
So can speaking about missions and everything, can you talk about a specific campaign or maybe a project that you're really proud of that you helped address that social issue or brought about social change?
Yeah. So one I would say is with cannabis industry in Massachusetts. And I do have to be very transparent that I grew up in Alabama. I grew up in the South in a very conservative area where, we went to church every Sunday and every other day of the week. And cannabis was not a thing that you would ever partake in. And you don't have to partake in it to not want Black men and women to be put in jail just for having it. So when I was working with this organization to input a law that would make sure that licenses in the cannabis industry in Massachusetts would go to Black men and women first, I was kind of hesitant. It was out of my element. But the more I learned about the topic, the more I learned that there are people making millions of dollars off the cannabis industry while there are still Black men and women in prison for having minor offenses using it. And so, although at a federal level, Biden released those men and women on those charges, but at the state level, they're still there. And so we were able to, build a campaign where we had protests and we, went into city halls and we had campaigns and, all these types of things. And we created this organization called RACE, which is Real Action for Cannabis Equity. And we had community members come out and voice how important it was that we diversify who has a license and who can sell cannabis and who can do it legally, and making sure that it's equitable for all people. And so not only did we succeed in the campaign in ensuring that minorities have the first opportunity to get those licenses, but I learned a lot. It opened my mind, and it showed that even though I want to do so much good in the world through communications, I still have my own biases and my own perceptions about things. And so I have to check myself all the time, knowing that all of us have biases that we don't even realize we have. And that we have to take those out when we're trying to help others and help everyone, because it'll limit us.
That's amazing. So we're going to get into DEI next. But before we do, it's time to play a little this or that.
Okay.
Are you ready
Betty, I think so. We'll see.
So I know that you watch the show, and so we give you two words or phrases. We both answer and talk about why we pick what we pick. So, first question: coffee or tea?
Ooh. It depends. Okay, I have to choose. I'll say coffee.
You have to. Yeah, see, you have to choose.
I'll say coffee.
Okay, why do you take coffee? And why was it hard?
Because I don't really drink either, but it
Okay.
depends on like a mood, So if I sometimes traveling, I'll have like a double espresso latte with almond milk and sugar-free vanilla. I know that I have the order down because I've been traveling so much, and so that sounds really nice. But then sometimes just the calming nature of tea that you can have sounds good too. So it really depends. But I'll say like if I had to choose down, had to, I would say coffee. But
Okay.
what would you choose?
See, this one is hard for me because the South. I'm from Texas. I don't claim that as often as I used to.
Yeah,
I used to be, yes, Texas. It
people
Now
do
it's
love
like, oh
Texas.
yes, Texas. But I do like me some sweet tea. Uh,
Oh, and you're thinking sweet tea. I was thinking like hot. Let's
oh, but that was the other part. So I have two best friends. One of them is from Nigeria, and she introduced me to this hot tea with like condensed milk and
oh.
like all kinds of. Uh, I just it's yummy, especially when you are not having a great day. And so, like whenever I'm in a bad mood, I'll have that. It reminds me of her, and
Aw, yeah.
uh, it just kind of puts a smile on my face. So, mm, but those are not everyday things. Whereas,
You
need
got
I
it.
say more?
There could be tea in
Um,
there. There could
I have a problem.
and I don't
Yeah,
see how you're drinking hot tea in Texas right now. That is just or hot coffee right now. Oh, goodness.
it's in my defense. I say kid temp. It's warm. It's not
Well,
hot.
and you are in
Like
Texas, so it's
I,
okay.
my other bestie gets it like extra hot, and I'm like, what? How? What? Whereas I don't. I can do iced coffee, and it's okay, but then I drink it too
Yeah,
fast,
you
and I
kind
don't
of
really
have
get to
to
enjoy
in a
it.
way. Yeah.
But this is not at this point. See, I put it in my little notes.
Oh, okay.
Um, but it's not hot. It's not cold. It's kind of like there, and I'm enjoying it slowly throughout the day.
Okay, and you don't have, like, a
But,
little heater thing?
mm-mm.
Okay.
No, because then it's too hot, and I'm already hot. I'm hot, you know.
Hot or spicy? Like this.
Yeah, I'm hot and spicy.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Next one: cats or dogs?
Oh gosh, neither. I know, I'm gonna, like, turn everybody off on this podcast.
You're a neither person, aren't you?
Can I say horses?
You can't. Well, that wasn't, but I'm gonna lean more towards dogs if you're talking horses.
That's true, actually, I think I would go for a cat. Like, if they're gonna be
Really?
inside, they would need to, be independent.
I challenge you on that because
Mm,
all of my dogs are independent. We have a dog door and we have land
okay.
that is fenced in. My husband, we at one point we had Great Danes.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, they just passed away recently. You saw them on some episodes, but he custom built. It is the most horrible looking
I thought you were gonna say
back door.
amazing.
It is amazing in the fact that it has lasted 7 years, but it is still like that pine wood, never been finished. I would call it white trash because it's me and I'm
I did
not
not
calling
say
anyone
that.
else.
I'm gonna say
Like, can I call myself that?
Like, is it okay? I don't know. I don't want to get canceled, but at the same time, it's me. Like, it is my family. I'm calling that. And if I put a picture of it up right now, I think everybody might
Be
freak.
like, okay,
However,
get it.
however, I will say I give him mad props for the fact that he built it himself, and he was so proud. It lasted 7 years. It survived 7 years of Great Danes and multiple dogs running through that door like the world was on fire. And yeah, it's still there. So yeah, I challenge the independence of cats versus the independence of dogs because
I guess
they
it
just do
does.
their business and go outside and
I guess it depends on where you live.
yes,
Living in DC, there's not
yes,
as much
true.
land.
Yeah, I that I give you. That I give you.
And I
Yeah,
see my
100%.
neighbors, I live in an apartment complex, so they're always walking their dogs. Like, so you have
Yeah.
to go outside.
Yes. Yeah. It was harder when we had an apartment because we had to make sure we got an apartment that had a ground floor that had the little yard, and it was much harder, but having a house is very different.
Yeah.
So you're cats, I'm dogs.
Mhm.
But you know what? Cats and dogs get along great sometimes.
I guess, yeah, yeah.
You're like, I guess. I don't like you anymore, but fine.
You don't even know.
But you know what? I think we both like horses. So let's just stick
Okay,
in
that's
that area.
great. Oh, I love that. Okay. I'm going to Montana later this year to go ride some horses.
A little Yellowstone activity. We're good.
Love it.
Books or movies?
Ooh, I would say movies, probably. Or can I
Oh,
say
I'm definitely.
audiobooks?
There's no doubt about it here.
Movies can be
I love that you're struggling with it though, and I'm curious why.
um so I'm used to nowadays the 8 episode hour-long shows. And so when I see a movie nowadays and it's an hour and a half, I'm like, I'm not getting the full effect. Like, where's the in-depth of this? And so that's why I was hesitating on the movies. But the movies I have been to lately, which has been exciting now that COVID's dying down, but or subsiding, I'll say, they have been good. And I've been on a lot of planes lately, and they've had some really old school movies. Like I watched, I don't know, Bridget Jones's Diary on the
Oh my
plane.
gosh.
It's like, take me back, Yeah.
I loved the last one where they they got married, Bridget Jones' wedding or what have you. I liked that one.
Oh, and is that like 10 years ago? Like really kind of more recent?
It was the most recent one,
Okay. I'll have to.
or maybe it was her baby, Bridget Jones's baby.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. Oh, did I spoil it for you?
Is that what I'm going to do? I'm not going to work today. Just go find this movie.
Whoopsie. Wait, it's the one with Patrick Dempsey in it.
What? Oh, wait, no. Okay, so there was Hugh Grant. Maybe I did see the one with Patrick Dempsey. Maybe. I know there were two with Hugh Grant, right?
Yes.
Okay, then there was a third one. Okay.
There's a third one. I liked all of them, but I liked the third one.
Okay.
So you're liking the what? Other than that, what have you seen lately that you liked?
Let's see. I watched The Inside Man with Denzel Washington and some other people I don't know. And
you like aging like fine wine. Oh my god!
Well, that movie was made in 2008, so
I know, but I just saw what
Well,
did I just see with him?
Oh, I haven't seen him in a while.
Maybe it was just a video or something.
Yeah, I mean,
hello?
Black doesn't crack. So I mean, can you blame it?
You know, we're gonna sneak right into DEI right after this.
Because we need to lean that
segue right there.
Gosh, we got Black Don't Crack, and now we're on to DEI. This is perfect.
Perfect. This is why we get along, though. Like, we can talk about just about anything, and neither of us get offended. So,
that's what it takes, though.
I did pick movies too, mainly because While I do read and I do like books, I have a lot of author friends and
Mhm.
I read their books. I used to, when I was younger, read, like, I had all of Danielle Steele collection,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
every single one. I had some first editions, like that. Yeah.
Do you still
Whoops.
have them? Do you still have them?
Actually, no, I sold them to pay for my wedding.
Okay, okay. Wow. Did you make a lot of money off them?
I did not make as much as I thought I would, but I made plenty. And my husband and I paid for our own wedding, and we didn't have like an extravagant wedding,
Yeah.
so it
That's pretty
it
cool
was
though.
plenty. Yeah.
So we have talked about all kinds of crazy things, and strangely enough, or this or that game led us straight into DEI. And as a leader in the communications field, you have been involved in internal and external DEI efforts. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on the importance of DEI in the workplace and how it can really effectively integrate into communication strategies?
Of course, of course. So, even the premise of Better Together, it's based on DEI, I think, both from an external perspective and internal perspective. Because when we're working with, especially corporations, because they're for profit, it's really, we have to really push back on them to say, we're not going to work with you if you think it's just because we want your money. Like, you have to be really committed to changing the way you communicate your DEI efforts internally and externally, and be very authentic with what you're doing. So it's not. It's for me. The mindset came from when George Floyd was murdered in 2020, and how corporations just gave so much money. The Wall Street Journal, I mean, the Washington Post said that corporations gave millions of dollars, but nobody knows where it went. It didn't go to Black communities. It just, nobody held them accountable. It was just like, here, we're going to give all this money, and we're not going to, follow up with how we use it. We're not going to say how it impacted communities and improve them. And so it's like, you can just say you did things and nobody holds you accountable, and you can get away with it. They did get away with it, and you move on. And there were no true impacts that came out of that movement. And so I wanted to hold companies accountable and not just let them get away with giving money to a community, or where we don't even know where, but to truly say, okay, this is what we did with our money. This is how we're going to use it. These are the results. This is, actually, it didn't do anything, so we're going to do something different. And for them to really prove that they care about communities, and not, it's not just a bunch of talk. And so that a lot of times, unfortunately, with communications, with agencies, um, we support them in that, just here's a statement on the money that we gave to X, Y, and Z, and we don't hold anyone accountable. And that's just not how we work at Better Together. And so our whole premise is laid on ensuring that DEI comes from an authentic perspective, and not just a show type thing. It's not just for show, and it really is for a lot of people, which is why I think that it's become more of a just saying, like ESG or CSR or any other term you want to say. It's just kind of a term that people kind of have to embrace and use because it's
Do you think
popular.
that's what's happening with a lot of companies right now, that they're like, oh, we have to have a DEI strategy. Oh, we have to have this. So somebody put it in place because we want to be able to say, yes, we have one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, but then you have the other side of that. You have Florida and Texas, sorry,
No,
and you
don't
have
be.
North Carolina and others that are like, actually, we're going to ban that. You can't have any more DEI roles in universities and public institutions. And so um, I think, and also those DEI roles are some of the first that are laid off when all these, tech companies and others are, making cuts. And so it's a good thing to show and say. And even in my industry with agencies, they focus on every type of communications, and when it's cool to have a multicultural division or a DEI practice, so they can say that they do that, they add that in, and that it can't just be a small segment of what you're going to do because you think it sounds good, but it has to really truly be who you are. And a lot of companies just are one, generations are not going to let companies get away with just saying it anymore. I think that we're kind of at a turning point of either you're going to really have to embrace DEI and social impact, or people are going to call you out, and so hopefully we're moving in that direction. But for sure, I completely agree with your statement that a lot of companies just do it for show.
Have you encountered, when you're working with these organizations, any specific challenges incorporating DEI into communication, campaigns, and how do you address that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so many.
Yeah. I will say that again, we have a client where we thought we were getting into one thing, we thought we were getting into one area, and once you actually start needing to implement that messaging around DEI, around equity, it becomes like, oh no, this is actually what we meant, or this is what we were actually thinking of saying. Is there a way to rephrase that so it doesn't come off as, too much? Like, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is what our proposal says. This is what we agreed on. These are all the conversations we had before we got started. So this is what we need to be focused on and doing. And so it really is frustrating, but it is also corporate, like all the different layers, all the different people who have to approve things and don't have a certain perspective on things. And sometimes we just have to take it into our own hands and figure out what's happening in the news now. What is a reporter going to, want to know about? What makes it different? What makes it impactful? And kind of just push and push and push. And so we don't give up easily. We don't just fall back and say, okay, fine, we'll just talk about whatever at a high level. That's fine, what everybody else is talking about. But we really push them. This is why you hired us, and we're not going to just give in to, your feelings at the moment, but what will really make a difference.
What are some of the big things happening that you feel companies are struggling with their, and not just DEI, but a lot of DEI? But what, from a comms standpoint, do you feel like companies are struggling with communicating about in the public right now?
Yeah, I think one main topic is about trans youth, especially Black trans youth. The suicide rate among Black trans girls is like out of, I don't know, it's unimaginable. It's really a problem that a lot of industries are going through, and I think figuring out how you support families that have youth at home who are trans, figuring out how to communicate health policies, how to communicate. Just like you're like every other family, your child just has to have these types of characteristics rather than what a typical child would have. And so I think it's hard for them to figure out how to be equitable with their care for parents and for families and things like that from an internal perspective. From external, I think is some of the same issues of um, there's so many that it's really hard to pick. But I'll say for one, take the LGBTQIA plus community. The big fight years ago was gay marriage, and so that passed, and so then it became like, okay, we won. Like, let's just have Pride Month and let's move on. And it's really that white gay men won. They can still walk down the street. They still are white. They're still men. They don't have the same issues as, Black gay women or Black trans kids or other kids who, minorities. So it's like there's still this fight that people feel like they've won for, but it's just a small segment of that LGBTQIA plus community that has won, quote unquote. And so I think a lot of times we think of one thing and we think, oh, it's settled, it's fine. But really there's so much more to fight for. And so that same drive that it took for gay marriage is what we need for others who are going through similar situations, but are a woman or have different skin color. So I think those are some of the key struggles, both from an internal corporate perspective and also just from a society when nonprofit sector who may be focusing on LGBTQ rights. And so those are some things I'm seeing now.
So, but what do you say to the companies that say, well, that's not my problem? I hear you. I hear what you're saying about um, Black trans girls in youth, right? Like, I hear you. I feel bad for them, but that's not my problem. I don't have children, right? Like, and
Mhm.
that's not what our company does. We are, a streaming service, or we are a car company, or we do this. Like, we have nothing to do with that area. They're not even our target client. So why does that impact me at all? What do you say to those companies?
Yeah, I mean, everything in society really impacts all of us, and it could be small or we could not really see it, right in front of us, but it impacts the attitudes of our employees. It impacts how we treat our customers, how we relate to them, how they think of our brand, and if they want to even use our streaming service, if they want to use whatever product that we're selling or what have. So I think we have a client that is using virtual reality, augmented reality to train DEI at companies, and it's in every sector. You might think, okay, so one they're focusing on is healthcare, and so they have these AR glasses that they use, and it teaches them from the perspective of a patient how it feels to have a doctor who's dismissive because they're a certain color or different things like that. And so you might not even think about it at the time of what you're doing and the biases you have, but it's a part of everything that we do, no matter if it's a trans person or a straight person or someone from Texas or someone from Alabama. We have all these thoughts in our heads and ways that we need to understand how we're communicating to them and with them, because the way we communicate maybe to white gay men is going to be completely different to our white straight men. And we know that, but a lot of times we're not even thinking about that. And so when we think about these audiences and they're not a target audience, they really are, because it impacts every part of our business. It impacts every part of who we're communicating with externally. And so we have to just be adapt to that and be open to realizing we don't know how to communicate every part of our business, and that we need to keep learning and being open to changing our messaging to adapt to those different audiences.
So how do you stay up to date on, one, what's happening? Because there's always something happening.
Always.
Always something happening. And how do you know, like, what is the top thing that should be addressed from that, whether it's social impact or that communication strategy? Because the news is just overwhelming. So, from that perspective, how do you know this is it, or these are the top two or three? Because there's like 52 things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really does take an organization defining what it's going to focus on, and you're focused. So I have another client that's focused on breast health and educating women on the importance of breast health and also their supporters, and we're connecting that to the air quality issues that are happening in throughout the country, because if you don't have high quality health, you need to stay indoors. But if you have health breast cancer, you're impacted even more. If you're Black and you have breast cancer, you're impacted even more than that. And so it's like you might not I like identify something as being relevant to your cause at the time, but it normally does. And it's finding those connections and not being too out there, with ideas of how it does, but it's a way to educate others on how you might take something that seems so extreme, so different, so out of the ordinary, and how it really does impact your audiences. You're right. Not everything needs to be addressed. You can't focus on everything. That's why there's so many different organizations focused on so many things. But those organizations focus on so many things, like the Human Rights Campaign. They have to be open to not just ensuring gay marriage stays in place, but that they're also helping those Black trans girls and open to all the other issues that are happening. So, how I stay up to date on those, I talk to a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. I love how we're getting more in person conferences and meetings now, and I'm just learning so much. And I also know that I don't know everything. I know that I have so much to learn, and I'm open to that. And I know that every person I meet can teach me something. And I know I said I like movies more than books, but I read a lot. Unfortunately, have to still read. Yeah, I don't know. I'm connected with amazing people who are just willing to share their knowledge and understanding, and I'm open to learning
I
that.
love that you said you don't know everything, because I think that there are a lot of people out here that feel like they have to know everything. That to be a thought leader, to be an expert in your industry means you have to know it all. That's not the case. I learn new things every single day. You learn new things every single day. That's how you become a thought leader. That's how you learn new things and come up with new ideas and help people grow. People help you
Yes,
grow.
I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, even with AI, for instance, like people have been so hesitant to embrace it. But if we embrace it and learn it and are able to construct how it operates now, instead of, just letting it happen and then eventually picking it up, we can change the way it operates. We can make it more DEI friendly where it actually knows to capitalize Black when it's talking about Black people, or that it knows to do certain things and it knows certain knowledge. And so, like, I encourage my employees to, seek out AI, but also know that you can't just let it tell you what to write or copy and paste. Because I know for sure when you use AI to write something. But I just think being willing and open to embracing new technology, learning new things, realizing we don't know everything, but also being willing to, learn those things and adapt them and change them and improve them. It just makes society better, and it helps all of us in the end. So it excites me, then learning something new, and I love the challenge. And I also really love being able to say I don't know everything, and for people to feel comfortable sharing their experiences and their background with me.
Absolutely. So, what is your advice to people that are aspiring communication professionals? They really want to make a positive impact. They want to drive social impact and change through their work, and they want to do it through this field.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I would say that a lot of the basics of communications are the same. Like, you have to be, um, you know, driven, obviously. You have to be willing to learn new things. You have to, um, just always be on your toes and, handle clients and all that customer service and all that good stuff. And those are basics. But you also have to be patient, and it's really tough. And you're not gonna necessarily make that difference that you're looking to make in one day, 1 year. It takes a long time. Everyone in kind of the social impact realm knows that it takes a long time when it comes to making true, authentic change. And this is just going back to Roe v. Wade being overturned. Back when it was passed in the 70s, uh, Republican Party knew that it was going to take a long time to get it overturned. And they started 50 years from when it was overturned, slowly putting in place people, policies, changes, ideas into the minds of Americans where it eventually was overturned. They knew it was going to take a long time, but they eventually did it. And that's when it comes to communications, you have to realize that every article, every post you make, every event you host is helping make that change that you're looking to seek. And so it's embracing the slowness of it. Some things will come fast. Most things that are worthwhile will be slow, but it's such a joy to see that change happen and to see the impact that it makes on people's daily lives, and just at the ground level knowing that you're making true change. It's just I don't know, gives me so much like joy and passion, and makes it all of the years that it takes worthwhile.
It is definitely working with purpose,
Yes,
very much so.
yes,
So,
sure.
Catherine, why would anyone want to reach out to you, and how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm a badass.
That's right.
But I know that Better Together is a unicorn, and I know that might sound funny, but I know that we're different and we're special, and that the way that we embrace communications and the change that we want to make in the world is different from other agencies and other communication services. But we also have those skills that I was saying that are needed when it comes to communications agencies in particular. And we know the importance of client service and what it takes to make a true impact in our work, as well as ensure clients are satisfied. But if people want to get in touch, my website is thebettertogether.agency. I'm also on LinkedIn at CN Montgomery or the Better Together Agency. And my email address is Catherine at thebettertogether.agency as well.
All of those links are below as usual. And are there any other reasons? Do you take mentees or anything like that from a communication standpoint? Or is it all at this point you're so busy you're looking for work related contacts?
Please, if I can help anyone, I have, colleges, where I went to school, reach out to be mentors for students. I'm volunteering now with Girls Inc. of Greater DC, helping girls be the best that they can be. And just, it does take a lot of time and it does take a lot of effort, but knowing that I can give back because people gave to me is one of the joys also. So please, if I can be of any help to anyone, please reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on the show this week. Really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. A little bit
Yes.
more fun than we might have should had.
Yes, I love it. It's good to smile and laugh.
And everybody else, thank you for joining us. We will see you again next week. As we wrap up the episode, we would like to take this time to thank you for joining us this week on Unexpected Journey. Our guest information will be linked in the episode description, along with a link to our host website, annbib.com, and our sponsors' websites, remoteevolution.com, ethossupport.com, and yourcohort.co. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on your favorite podcast app and on our YouTube channel so that you never miss an episode and we can continue to bring them to you. Let us know your thoughts on what we discussed in the comment section. And once again, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again next time on Unexpected Journey.